On today's episode of the DeRaud-Messinger Show, we're reacting to the second week of the college football playoff rankings where Oregon continues to be over Texas and Dylan. We usually make our high school football picks, and we're still doing that, but we have one ranked matchup in the first week of the high school football playoffs. My favorite time of the year, just out the window with these picks. But Longhorns fans and Lake Travis or Vandergrift fans, don't forget to like and
Yeah.
subscribe for more content. It's greatly appreciated. And check us out at HornSports.com for all things Longhorns coverage. Now, Dylan, it's a lot of verbiage at the start, but let's just get
Oof.
into it. Oregon. Number
Mm.
7 is Texas. Number
Yeah.
6 is Oregon. Number 8, working backwards, you got Alabama. Alabama fans are talking about how they should be above Oregon. You can only assume how Texas fans are talking, Dylan. How do you feel about this ranking? Do you think it's just that Oregon, the Ducks, of course, one loss to a pretty dang good Washington team, one that happened to wax the floor against the Longhorns in the season finale last season in the Alamo Bowl? Of course, it's a different year, Dylan. Their best win is against a Utah team that is quietly assassins, but then of course they drop a game or two every now and then. But you can't
Mm.
say that's a bad win. Of course, it's a pretty solid win. But is their resume over a team like Texas, over a team like Alabama? I'll let you respond.
Yeah, I think it helps when they waxed Colorado 42-6, and that was like Colorado's peak during the season. I know they've completely fallen off with the after the Dion hype, but it was, you hear all about it. You get all the television networks talking about Colorado, and then Oregon comes in and takes care of business, right? So they've had that helps them in the media's kind of eye. That loss to Washington only by 3 points. It was competitive the entire time. Then you've got, I think, the college football show there or game day in Utah. You got Fox there as well, and then they come in and they beat Utah 35-6. So they've had some really good kind of spotlights during these performances, which helps. But I also think, simply enough, you see the consistency that they're going with. The committee finds Oregon to be better than Texas. You'll probably throw some stats at me here in a second, Devin, but you can have as many gripes about the college football playoff that you'd want to as somebody that watches it probably every year for some weird reason. I just like watching it. They're inconsistent.
Psycho behavior.
Both I know, I'm sorry, but they're I think that what I like is they're so inconsistent. You can find things to nitpick, but what they do a lot is they will sometimes disregard the stats, the strength of record, strength of schedule for who they think is better than the other team. And in this case, the committee is looking at if Oregon and Texas played on a neutral field, who they felt like would win. And they are picking Oregon. They think Oregon is better than Texas when it comes to the eye test. So I know that is a buzzword. Probably going to make some people a little upset when I say that. But again, they just find Oregon to be better, Devin. I don't know how you feel about that, though.
I mean, my only gripe, as you said, is the inconsistencies with the rankings, Dylan. Some teams you use the eye test, some teams they note for the resume. I think it would be best if you could just stick to one. Of course, that's an ideal world, and college football is a
Mm.
crazy space. Only crazy people watch college football, so welcome to all you fellow crazy people. But, Dylan, I don't know. Yet again, at the end of the year, okay, we can have this conversation, but we're not even at the end of the year in rankings. I think it would be fair for Texas to have the edge right now. Of course, so if Texas had the edge right now, it would be difficult for Oregon to make that up in the long run. Of course, you could cite the eye test down the road as a reason to flip the two, but Texas has 3 wins against ranked opponents. I know the Washington loss is your best loss, but Texas has the best win against Alabama, and then yet again a couple of ranked opponents. The Big 12 is not a sexy league, Dylan. Let me be front and clear about that. But neither is the Pac-12, if we're being completely open and honest.
But they're fun. Those offenses are fun. I
They're
don't know if
fun.
you watched Washington USC.
Oh,
That was
that
fun.
was a fun game. Hey, one of my favorite things in college football is Pac-12 after dark. Okay,
Yeah.
nothing better than doing some homework super late, and you still got Colorado or Oregon playing and keeping you up. But Dylan, I mean, yet again, I like Oregon. Oregon is, as we said, an exciting team, is a fun team to watch. Bo Nix over there, trying to reach his Perry Ellis year in his 12th season of college football. I mean,
Yep.
all the things that I love about watching the sport, Oregon represents. Jerseys, traditions. I know Oregon traditions against UT. We're not comparing now. We don't have to compare everything. Oregon traditions. And they've just played an exciting brand of football. That's the eye test there. But they haven't played still the same schedule that Texas has. And in the end, Texas, it's really on them to show the committee. It's not an Oregon problem. It's a Texas problem right now. They're going to have to show the committee that they can win handily, that they're not, getting these close games to teams like Houston and then literally any other team on the schedule so far this season. That's what's held Texas back. We talked about it a little bit on our TCU picks video. But it's on Texas to have some style points. I know this isn't the BCS era, so stat padding isn't necessarily maybe as valuable per se. But Dylan, human beings are, quite digestive of what they see. That's the eye test for you. If you're close every week and you're giving everyone a heart attack every week, it's hard to move up any rankings. Meanwhile, if you're Oregon and you're, handing teams their business every week, it looks a little bit different.
They're consistent too.
They're consistent.
So what were you about to say? What were you about to say with disagree?
I was just going to finish it with saying I disagree with the current ranking. I understand, though, why it's like this. Texas needs to do more in order to earn the spot. And in the end, if they continue to win out, they're going to have a resume that makes it a real argument. Right now, this is just entertainment, really, honestly, Dylan. And until the final ranking, this is just kind of gossip. This is the college football version of keeping up with the Kardashians. This is just gossip right now. But currently, I would have Texas above. And that's no slight to Oregon. That's just a testament. As Dylan knows, I'm a huge strength of schedule guy. Check out our high school picks. Way too many strength of schedule references there. But that's my case.
I like strength of schedule to a point. Right. I just think that, yes, it is good to play good teams more than, let's say, a Michigan schedule where they've played nobody up until they're going to be playing Penn State this weekend. So that's going to be something to look at when it comes to a team ahead of Texas and what they're going to look like and where they'll be afterwards. But again, I'm saying it up to a point because there are statistics to back up Oregon. They're only allowing 16 points per game, right? Which is better than Texas. They're number one in points per game offensively in the country. They have a Heisman quarterback. Texas does not. Obviously, Ewers' injury does not help his case, but also Bo Nix has been playing at an insane level all year. They're able to move the ball at will, and especially against just a lot of opponents that have been trying to, they're in a similar situation too, where Texas is going to the SEC. Oregon's going to the Big Ten. Like, a lot of these teams that they're playing want to beat them as their send-off, and they're still waxing them. Like, California has been a team where obviously everyone's been able to score on USC, but California
feel the team at this point, Dylan. It's awful over there, but
I'm just saying they've been able to put up points, and Oregon held them to 19.
63 against California, 19
Yeah.
allowed. That's a big difference. And no, I agree, Dylan. The eye test is one thing. Of course, strength of schedule, I think, should be one of the key stats to look at. However, as you mentioned, and I forgot to mention as well, is that Oregon has a pretty good stats resume. If you look at it, they have top 5 offense, I believe a top 15 defense. Yep. It isn't like Oregon's just a team that's doing well in the Pac-12 and they're above Texas. They're doing amazing over there in the Pac-12, and just stats wise are almost yet again a better pick. I can't blame them. Texas, they're winning games. I think the most important thing, of course, is to win those games, but Texas isn't doing it in a way that is appealing to those committee members doing.
Texas had their chance to have a Utah kind of win, like Oregon beating Utah 35-6. Texas had that chance. I think Kansas State had 6 points at the half, and they let them right back into it. Right. So it just comes down to Texas has not been consistent. And when you look at Oregon, they're a more complete team, while Texas has areas. Obviously, it'll be fixed a little bit when Ewers comes back, so there won't be that glaring hole at quarterback. But then you look at the defense with that secondary that I know we continue to harp on. But you go against a top team like Oregon, Bo Nix is going to tear that apart, especially with the receivers they have as well, right?
Yeah.
So
The one thing
and again, and
Texas,
Texas has the worst loss too. They lost to Oklahoma, who you've now seen kind of fall apart a little bit after beating Texas. Oregon lost to Washington. Guess who's fifth in the country right now in rankings? Washington, who they only lost by 3-2 on the road. So they
yeah,
have a better loss. Obviously, a better loss is just a weird thing to talk about,
better
but they
loss,
have
but of
good wins
course,
too.
just to play devil's advocate on the flip side, better win has Texas there. I think they do somewhat cancel out. Of course, Texas has more ranked wins, but as Dylan said, that Oklahoma loss does not look better over time. And a lot of the close games and that loss should not have been that way. You look at the tape of those games, Texas, in pretty much all of them, was at a point where just one more possession on offense, Dylan, and they crack those games open and it's over. They let them in every week. They're still getting the results of wins, but in terms of being the best, just not quite there. But yeah, I say let's move on to the picks now, shall we?
Right. Yep.
Week 1 of the playoffs, we
Mm.
got Lake Travis and Vandegrift. Dylan, I don't want to take too much of our fans' times here. I'll let you start with the pick here. Who do you like in this Austin area matchup?
I think you might bring it up later, Devin, but the one that just pops off the screen here is the common opponent, and that is Dripping Springs between both of these teams. One beat them pretty convincingly, the other did not. In this case, Vandegrift won 27-7 in week 1. So obviously both teams are still trying to find their footing a little bit with the teams they have. But they did beat them 27-7 and shown throughout the season that their defense is that good. Because Vandegrift, I believe, yeah, only allowing 7 points per game this season on defense. So they have been one of the best in the country defensively and holding Dripping Springs team that's pretty good to 7 points. On the other side, Lake Travis, who also has a good defense, has struggled against top opponents when it comes to Westlake and Dripping Springs. They lost to Dripping Springs 24-6 in week 8, right? And then when they go up against opponents like Westlake, they could only muster 14 points, right? So there's issues there, especially against good teams. And Vandegrift is a team where they have a solid chance at making a deep run in these playoffs. It's big name teams, right? So it kind of jumps off like, oh wow, this is a round 1 matchup, but it actually makes sense because Vandegrift has just been that good, and I don't know if this Lake Travis offense is really going to be able to keep up with the Vandegrift offense that's scoring about 44 per game. And then the Lake Travis team, if they're not playing against a lesser opponent, they've struggled to really move the ball. Now they do have a solid win over Cibolo Steel, but again, and a pretty good win in the season opener against Arlington Martin. But I just haven't seen enough this season to be like, oh, they're gonna go into Vandegrift's building and move on to the next round after a big upset.
Do you want me to make this easy for you?
You could.
We're talking about Oregon eye test.
Oh
The
no.
eye test here. Yet again, I have family ties. So shout out to that offensive line of Lake Travis. But the eye test has not been in Lake Travis's favor this year.
Yeah.
It's just, Dylan, they're not as explosive offensively as they've been in years past. The offense has been a unit that has led Lake Travis to championships. The defense, not necessarily. They hold their own, but it's been offensive predicated. The offense this year has not been amazing. It's fairly one-dimensional. And I'm not saying this to slander Lake Travis. This is a playoff matchup. This is when your strengths and weaknesses will be accentuated. Vandegrift, eye test-wise, this is where the eye test comes in. I saw them one time this year, Dylan. They have Deuce Adams at quarterback. He has Texas ties for all of you guys in the know. But Deuce Adams at quarterback, I believe a Louisville commit. Of course, some people will argue with me on the pronunciation of that school, Dylan. I will not have it today. But he has been dynamic at quarterback. You have Miles Coleman, who already was possibly the most explosive player in high school football at wide receiver. You have those two, and you're done. Vandegrift has the just incredible coaching. Of course, they made a state title appearance last season. You could tell I'm fired up here with this matchup, the one high school matchup we have this weekend. I hope for a great game. If Lake Travis pulls this off, Dylan, we'll be talking about it for sure. I'm excited at the prospect of this game. I'm going to this game, Dylan. I'm going to be covering this one. So I'm hoping for a good game, but Vandegrift has been the team to beat, not only in the Austin area, but really in all Texas. There's only a couple of teams that resumes stack up, and that's why Vandegrift is the 4th-ranked school. And that's why in this game I have Vandegrift, if you couldn't put those two together. But more importantly than our picks, let us know that score, but also let us know what you think about Oregon being above Texas and Alabama for that matter. I think it is not as fair as it should be, Dylan, but I'm also not in a position where I'm super heated and need to argue with it. I think it is decently fair. Fair, meh.
Life isn't fair, though, Devin. I hate to break it to you, but life isn't fair.
Life isn't fair. Check us out at HornSports. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, have a great rest of your day.